Z9, Z9,
Nikon Z9.
Z9. The Z9.
A rare while, a camera comes along that is so revolutionary that it allows us to change the way we shoot in ways like never before. Camera is the Z9.
On October 28, 2021, Nikon announced their flagship mirrorless camera, the Nikon Z9. I've had my body since early 2022, and I've been using it to film weddings for the past couple years. How's it going, y'all? My name is Michael Ursua. I'm a wedding filmmaker from Dallas, Texas, and for a little bit of my history with Nikon, around a decade ago, my dad gave me his Nikon D90, and that's what really got me started doing photo and video. I picked up a 750, and eventually in 2019, when they announced their mirrorless line, I picked up the Z6, and that's what started my wedding filmmaking business. In 2022, I picked up a Z9, and over the past 2 years, I've added 2 more Z9s to the collection. I want to talk to you guys today about a couple things I love about the Z9 and a couple things I don't love about it, and how I think it's going to compare in relevance in the future with the flagships from Sony and Canon. One of the first things I love about the Z9 is its battery life. On a 10-hour wedding day, I typically go through 2 batteries, filming at 4K 60, and for our C angle, we considered picking up a Z8, but the thing that made us go with a third Z9 over getting a Z8 was the battery size. We had experience with the EN15Ds with the Z6, and we just didn't think that filming at 4K 60 they would last us long enough, and it's just something we didn't want to have to worry about carrying around a bunch of little batteries and having to change them frequently. Something else I love about this camera is the amount of codecs I have access to internally. On the Z6, I had to use something like an Atomos Ninja in order to record a ProRes or H.265. Having access to all these codecs internally eliminated my need to have an external recorder in order to record in the codecs that I wanted to. Now if I want to record ProRes or NRAW, I just throw this in my camera bag and go. Something else I've always loved about Nikon is the color science. I've shot for friends on their FX3s and I've shot on Canon, and something I just have never liked is the look I'm getting directly out of camera. I feel that the colors and the dynamic range I get out of this sensor are exactly what I need in order to color grade a film how I would like. The colors feel more natural, nothing feels as crushed, or leaning towards one hue more than the other. Something else I love about the camera is the durability. This is my specific body that I've been using for the past 3 years, almost every weekend, and it's still in great condition. Everything from the rubber sealing, the weather sealing, the screens, everything is still perfect about this thing. And while I don't baby my gear, I'm also not particularly gentle with it either. Being filmmakers in Dallas, something we had to think about was the possibility of overheating. On wedding days, I've had Ronin overheat, I've had my drone overheat, I've had monitors overheat, but the Z9s have never overheated on us. I don't know if it's the size and the heat dissipation that they have in a small rig cage on a 110-degree day in middle of Dallas, Texas, with nothing but concrete around. This thing, 4K 60, just kept going. It has never once even thought about overheating on us. And that's something I absolutely love about it. I know Sony, and specifically Canon, have had a lot of issues with the recent cameras and overheating, and being in Dallas is just something that we couldn't swing. So we absolutely love that this thing has never tried to overheat on us. Something else I love about the Z9 is the autofocus. Like I said, I've been using Nikon since the D90, and our autofocus has not always been the best. But when they came out with the Z9 and the autofocus system in here, it's incredible. When the Z9 came out and we started using this for wedding films, I have loved it ever since. I haven't looked back. The autofocus is fast, there's nice adjustment settings, and you can tune it exactly how you want. I also love the fact that you can make custom sized focus boxes, which is great for something like a stationary tripod. If you want to make a box around someone specific standing up on the altar at a wedding, and then you can still get the eye autofocus, but it's not going to jump to other people. I think that the custom autofocus boxes is a really nice addition to the Z9. Now I want to touch on some things I don't like about the Z9. And while I do love this camera, there are definitely a couple flaws with it that I wish we could see fixed in either firmware updates or a new version. One of the first things I don't like about the Z9 is the lack of dual recording. You have dual card slots there, CF Express Type B, and if you're a photographer, you can shoot to them simultaneously. But as a video professional, I would love if we could have that same capability for us. Especially being in weddings, it would just provide a lot of peace of mind to be able to have that backup internally in the camera. I know people have been asking for this since firmware 1, and perhaps Nikon can still add it in a future firmware update. I don't know if it's a hardware limitation and that's the reason they haven't done it, but I would love to see that on this or a future iteration. Something else I would love to see Nikon add in a future firmware update is the use of internal user LUTs. Currently, the View Assist only lets you view your footage from log to H.264, but I would love to be able to view creative user LUTs in order to see what a final graded product would look like in camera. Especially with the recent acquisition of Red and Nikon rolling out the Red LUTs for Nikon, I believe this is something they could easily add in a firmware update to let users upload their own LUTs to the camera. Something I think Sony did really great with the FX3 and FX30 is the amount of tally lights they have on those cameras. On the Z9, all you have is this little green LED right here, and if it's on a tripod or not directly in front of your face, you really can't see if you're recording. I wish that we had a tally light either here on the external of the camera, on the top, anywhere that I could see it from afar in order to know that I'm recording. While this isn't something they could add to the Z9, I hope they consider adding tally lights to a future camera model. Another drawback I could see people having with this camera is the weight. It's around 3 pounds, and after you put a lens on, it's probably going to be somewhere around 4. And while it's not outrageous, it's definitely not as light as some of the cameras from Sony, but I think it's a good trade-off to have for the craftsmanship of this camera and the materials that they're using in it. Something to note is that Adobe Premiere has still not provided support to edit NRAW. Over the past 3 years, we've been waiting for them to add it, and they still haven't. So if you want to edit NRAW, you're going to have to do it in DaVinci Resolve, which is just another program you're going to have to learn if you're not already on it. I absolutely love the Z9. There's a reason I have 3 of them in my kit. Could I still recommend it 3 years later when Sony and Canon are announcing their new flagships? I think if you could pick one up used or refurbished, I would buy it. I think this camera could hold its place in anyone's kit, and it's a great piece of Nikon history to have. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to drop a like and comment if you have any thoughts, questions, or any future videos that you'd want to see from me. See you guys in the next one.